I actually do have a question for you about season 2.
Sure.
With the phases. Just to kind of clarify, so during the story phase in season 1, you had 2 action points, I believe it was. And so with the revamped version of phasing, are we going to still have like the 2 story phase action points, or are there just going to be 2 phases that we can do, like a story and an event phase? Or can we double up on the story phase? Or like, how are you thinking that process will work?
So my mind's a little foggy right now, but I believe the last time we had a story phase, I did away with points.
Okay.
I did away with the whole points thing. It was too complicated. And I like to have my shit streamlined. I was just experimenting. You know, the whole spend 1 point to rest and recover, and you know, shit like that. Yeah. I was done with that. So you don't got to worry about points and none of that. It's going to be very simple.
The bullet point thing in each phase submission?
The bullet points, that's different. But I'm talking about points for, like, as far as action points go.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
So because I know that, and this is completely from a selfish point of view for people that don't understand Rezinoc, is in order for me to take in a power, I have to spend a story phase breaking that power down and really learning the inside and outs of it.
Yes.
So
yes.
And the selfish part about that is am I gonna be able to learn those powers in a story phase, and in that same story phase practice with them?
Yes.
Or am I gonna have to spend a story phase learning and then another one practicing? Like, how's that gonna work?
So I want some narrative of you saying that you were actively breaking apart something and learning it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I just want some kind of narrative to support that, so I can write about it and put it in your story phase. So even if that you can do that in 1 bullet point, right?
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah,
easily.
Yeah.
So I'll just write like a paragraph per bullet point. It'll be fine.
It's funny you say that, because some people are actually doing that.
Probably R-type. Man.
I'm flexible. I'm lenient. It's just, I just want you to keep in mind that it does make it harder for me. So, you know, if the more you can paraphrase and summarize, the easier, the better, because when we're going to be going into how I wanted things to be, and that's where not everyone is going to be in an episode. So if you have these long, excessive paragraphs,
that might be wasted.
For sure, it definitely might be wasted. That's why I want people to summarize and use bullet points, because I would feel bad if you wrote a whole bunch of shit and it didn't end up in there. But on the flip side of that, if I see a whole bunch of stuff and I really don't, like, if I already have a really solid story with the characters I got, and I'm looking like, maybe I can add 1 more person, right? And I come across your shit, and then I come across some other person's shit. It's paraphrased, it's nice and clean. I'm picking their shit. I'm not going to be reading I'm not going to be reading the whole fucking story when I ask you to, summarize it. So, but at the same time, some things need to be fleshed out. So depending on what it is, I'm going to read it. But when it comes down to me writing, I look over a person's submission over and over again when I'm trying to figure out what I want to include and what I want to leave out. And the longer it is, and no disrespect, respectfully to everyone, not everybody has the best grammar, the best punctuation, and then not to mention the forms are not the easiest things to write into, depending on what device you're using. So that's another reason why I want to keep it short and sweet, because I don't want it to be a detriment to how, to your clarification when you're trying to explain to me what you want to do.
Well, and here's the way I view it too, is if we, because I mean, as players, right, you're the ultimate narrator. We have to have a certain amount of trust in you to be able to get across what we're trying to get across and what's better for the story. And this is something I've personally been struggling with, as you can see from my thousands of messages I send you a day, is we have to trust you to a certain point where we can put those single line bullet points and know that you are going to make it as cool as possible, right? Because the more we write, the less creative your brain probably gets. You probably start focusing a lot on what the player's trying to think they're doing, rather than us saying like, okay, so for instance, I'll use Rezinoc because it's going to come out in the next story phase anyways. I'll be like, okay, so I'm going to combine a energy clone with death touch, right?
Oh shit.
And if I just leave it at that, that allows you to, in your mind, because you have the overarching story, it allows you to craft that in a way that makes it better and more cohesive. Whereas if I was like, okay, well, I'm going to take energy, I'm going to make sure that his left pinky toe can use death touch, and the big toe can use fire, manipulation. Like, that starts getting too specific, and it can block a creative flow, right?
Exactly. So here's what I'll say to that. It's a mix, right? So unless you really want to perform a specific action, be as detailed as you want. But if you don't really care and you just really want to get the gist of that, you're able to do something, then that's when I would say, yeah, just summarize it. And then I'll take it from here. I think I might know your character well enough. I did enough of your character submissions where you wrote it in a way that really makes it clear to me what you're going for. But if to the viewers listening, if you have a move or if there's a specific action you want to take, and if I can put it into the series, I will be as detailed as you want, and I'll get it in there. But sometimes you're also running the risk of it being so specific that it's going to fuck up what I'm trying to do. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, and think about how much you have to think about. You're not going to memorize every detail of all 30 players or however many we have.
Right. Sometimes you might say something so specific that it can't happen because of something that someone else is doing. You know what I mean? So you might say, I really want to go into this episode and I want to wait behind this dumpster. And as soon as someone comes through the alleyway, I want to jump out and grab them. Yeah, well, Anarchy's blowing up the whole entire block and he was successfully. So that dumpster's not fucking there. So I don't want you to spend an hour writing how you're going to ambush someone when the alleyway is blown up by Anarchy. You know what I mean?
You know what'd be funny is if somebody wrote that, right, and they're like, I'm just going to be behind this dumpster, and then you narrate it to where Anarchy blows it away, and you just see their character holding on to it, and like, hey, you wanted to stay with the dumpster, you're flying with it.
Right. And that's the fun. That's the fun, because I can do stuff like that, and there's a lot of little things that happen. If you are ever listening to an episode and I say something, and you're like, why did he write that? More than likely, it's a nod to something that someone put in their submission, and only they got it.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I actually
it's like an Easter egg.
Yes,
it's like an Easter egg
yes,
for that player.
I have fun doing shit like that, even when people don't catch it. Like back when Makai and R-Type was beefing, in one of the episodes, I was talking about how when Ivan and his gang, when Makai came and they kidnapped, the Ray Lagarian politician, all that jazz.
Mm-hmm.
And I said that this caused discord between Ray Lagarian and Nebu nations. That was a nod to the fucking beefing that was going on in the Discord servers. You know?
Oh yeah, dude.
So just stuff like that.
Beef.
It's just fun. It's just fun.
Well, and what we really got to think about too, because like you said, when RTX initially killed the Makai, we were all like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Right? Like we in the episode, none of us had a reason for RTX to do it. It just seemed like the player had the opportunity and just did it to do it, kind of thing. And so we beef about that, but at the end of the day, we're all here to play the game and we're all buddies, right?
Yeah.
Like we might beef for a week or so, but it doesn't hurt any feelings, or it shouldn't. Like those two knew that they were just joking around, and other people might not have known that.
Right.
But I mean, we're a big family, you know?
Right.